Mr. Scorsese is a five-part documentary series directed by Rebecca Miller, the wife of Daniel Day-Lewis. This documentary premiered October 17th, 2025 on Apple TV+, with all 5 episodes premiering at one time. Each episode from 1 through 5 is named for a saying that is said in the episode. And episode 1 is Stranger in a Strange Land. Episode 2 is All This Filming Isn't Healthy. Episode 3 is Saint Sinner. 4 is Total Cinema, and 5 is Method Director. This tells the life story of filmmaker Martin Scorsese from when he was a young boy, how he got into filmmaking, all the way up until the pre-production of Killers of the Flower Moon. Let me just tell you, this is an eye-opening documentary and stuff you did not know about Martin Scorsese at all, because I definitely didn't know at all either. It features interviews from Robert De Niro, Steven Spielberg, Paul Schrader, Mick Jagger, and among others, his family and his friends. And it's a very, very well done documentary. This now is my number one documentary for a filmmaker that I have ever watched. Before, my number one was Brian De Palma's documentary and Steven Spielberg, but now it's this for Scorsese, De Palma, and then Spielberg. It's just absolutely done so well. Just how everything is put together and how Rebecca Miller had unrestricted access to Scorsese's personal photos and archives and home videos and 8mm and everything. And when you see him as a young boy growing up in New York, it's just that he had this hard life and hard time, and the streets were his thing. And of course, Mean Streets is his very first movie that he made. That was a feature, and it's just like, okay, we're going in a trajectory of what is going to go on in this documentary. Now, not only that, I feel like so much more could have gotten out of these 5 episodes, meaning that it should have been more than 5 episodes. But from what we got, it was absolutely amazing. Not only that, seeing Mr. Scorsese talk about each film he's made in detail, films that were well received by critics, especially his peers in Hollywood, where he was shunned out, he wasn't talked to because he made this movie that, he thought would be a hit, but it wasn't, and then he was just sidecasted out. And then where he actually should have won his first Oscar was for the Woodstock documentary, but he was a co-director, and then the other director kind of took it to LA and won, an Oscar for Best Documentary, which was kind of cruel in a way. But not only that, it also talks about the friendship between him and his editor, Thelma Schoonmaker, who is a exceptional editor, and she talks about working with him, and it's just really so well done. And then it dives deep into how he had a cocaine overdose, a drug problem, and how he almost actually died in the 70s. But then his friend Robert De Niro got him out of it, and they started Raging Bull. So it's like, whew, wow, and it's just so interesting and so well done. It's like it goes into each decade, everything about how he writes, what he does, and how he storyboards. My goodness, I have not seen a director storyboard anything of a film until I've watched this documentary. Makes me even want to storyboard now, because I personally don't storyboard, but after watching this, I feel like I have to. And just the way he's done things, and making films since he was young, writing it out, working on it, and even almost actually between himself and Robert De Niro, writing out Raging Bull and kind of in a way freehanding it and writing the entire script freehand. Like, God bless this man. And it goes into like how later on in the episodes, I think 4 or 5, it talks about how he hasn't won an Academy Award yet, or they thought The Aviator would be the one he won an Academy Award for, but it was actually The Departed, which he did win that Oscar for. Because when Coppola, Lucas, and Spielberg came on the stage at the Oscars, you knew Mr. Scorsese was going to win, and it's great. This man actually should be either tied with John Ford for winning Best Director Oscar awards, or actually have 5. He should hold the record. He should have won for Raging Bull. He should have won for Goodfellas. Definitely should have won for Gangs of New York. He has won for The Departed, and then he should have won for Killers of the Flower Moon. But even so, it also talks about how the backlash he has with talking about The Last Temptation of Christ, how that was a big controversial thing, and even with Kundun, the bio movie about the 14th Dalai Lama. So it's like it goes into detail, and even how Gangs of New York he wanted to make in the 1980s, but he couldn't get any funding. It's just a really, really well done documentary that I absolutely loved. I actually binge watched it, if you can believe it, because I mean, you just wanted more and more and more, and when you do, it's great. Not only that, he talks about using music in all of his films, and in this documentary, it also puts in forth about the music, how he sets up shots, crane shots, when the song should hit, when the trunk closes, and then Thomas Schoonmaker kind of says, like, hey, this is where he wants it, we're going to put in the music. And just how everything is done, and the aspect of, doing things, and then how he was, roommates with Robbie Robertson from the band, and how that all thing worked, and working on concerts, and this man has done it all, ladies and gentlemen, and you will be mind blown, and your eyes will be open to a whole nother world of what Mr. Scorsese went through to make his favorite films, and how he's just director, and how it took him so long to be recognized in the industry, because everything that he's done, from Mean Streets to Raging Bull to Goodfellas, it's people he knew. It's people he grew up with. It's the streets of New York. Anything that is talked about, he grew up with it. And you even talk to his lifelong friends in this, and they even say that some of the characters in his films are based on them. It's an absolutely phenomenal 5-part documentary that I loved a lot, and I'm very, very happy that this came out, and kudos to director Rebecca Miller, because she directed and did a amazing thing. And it's an experience to watch something like this. You just, want to dive deep into the world and the mind of your favorite directors, writers, and producers, and it's just like, what can they do? They will go to any length, and Scorsese went to every single length to get financing, to get funding done for his films that he wanted to make, and he did that, and he never quit. Not only that, they talk about his marriage life, his 3 daughters, and everything, and how it's just, things have changed in his life, and, where he actually has a temper, and he tried to, I think Isabella Rossellini stated, like, this young, short man has such an anger in him that, he just demolishes the whole room. And it's a different light of Mr. Scorsese that you thought you would never see, but it's eye-opening, and it's very, very respectful in a way where it's absolutely done so, so well. One of my favorite documentaries about a filmmaker. It's really, really good. I highly recommend everyone watch this. For me, the 5-part documentary, Mr. Scorsese, about the life of Martin Scorsese, gets 5 out of 5 film reels. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about this documentary, if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, will you be checking it out now that I reviewed it? And who is your favorite director of all time? Let me know in the comment section about all the questions I just asked. I'm Mr. Filmstock. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next review video.